age, your plan for retirement can start today. From the News Channel 5 Network, this is the Retirement Report.
Good morning. Welcome to the Retirement Report. I'm Hank Parrott, your host. We've got a really interesting show for you. This is one that I look forward to. We're going to be doing these hopefully about 3 or 4 times a year for you. And it's about when you're out looking to invest, when you're trying to figure out maybe shopping around for an investment advisor, trying to figure out what type of advisor you may need. Do you need a financial advisor that does comprehensive financial planning? Do you need just someone to help you with some investments? Are you looking at, like we talk about here every week, retirement planning, how all that works together, estate planning? How do you find the right advisor to help you, and then how do you check out that advisor to make sure that they're qualified? To check on their designations, maybe their registrations, that they're completely legitimate? How to protect yourself in that search? And I've got 2 great guests with me today to help us with that. One is Daphne Smith. She is the Assistant Commissioner for Securities with the State of Tennessee Department of Commerce and Insurance, right? And Frank Borger-Gilligan, Director of Enforcement with the State of Tennessee Department of Commerce and Insurance. So thank you so much for being here today and helping us with this. Let me start with talking a little bit about what you do and about the Securities Division and how you all are there to help the consumers, the investors.
Well, thanks for having us again, Hank. It's a great pleasure to be here. What we do is we regulate the securities industry. We regulate the people who sell securities in the state, and we regulate the products that they sell, whether it's an investment contract, stocks, bonds. All types of investments have to be registered and qualified before they can be sold to the public. So that's what we do. We regulate the people and the security.
I like that. So this is one of the things that we're going to get into as we go through the morning, is not only the investment advisor who they're talking to, but also sometimes advisors maybe just making sure that the products that they're representing are also appropriate. And how do you and do you deal much with suitability issues as well?
We do, because there are 2 types of financial providers basically that are recognized under state and federal law. And those are brokers and investment advisors. And brokers have certain duties and obligations, and investment advisors have certain duties and obligations. They can wear both hats, but they have to deal with the public, with the investors, based on what they're authorized to do and how they're registered. And so we monitor and regulate all of that activity.
And I think the biggest difference between a broker-dealer and an investment advisor is really the level of responsibility. An investment advisor has a fiduciary duty to their clients, whereas a broker has an obligation to provide a suitable product.
Right. And this is one thing, we've talked about this each and every week on the show. And folks, you'll recall that one of the areas that we get into, that person that's working in the broker-dealer system, again, they're going to do the best job they can for you, I'm sure. They want to be helpful. They want to try to earn your business and keep your business, but it is a different standard to which they're held. And you just want to ask yourself, and we're going to get into that as well as we go through the program, questions to ask yourself, questions that you want to maybe ask the advisor as well when you're seeking someone. Is it that suitability part? The person is working for the broker-dealer, so they first have to answer to the boss, so to speak, as opposed to the investment advisor, where they have a fiduciary responsibility. I guess in essence, the client is the boss in that regard, and they have to answer to. So
they have to put the client first,
absolutely,
their interests first.
And this goes to another thing. When it comes to the types of things that, types of products or services that the advisor is offering, they have to watch, and this would go, I think, to both, on the suitability issue, that which is the accredited investor versus maybe your average investor. And maybe we could talk about the difference there a little bit in terms of, we're going to get into crowdfunding and some other things. There may be certain products that might be for a very sophisticated accredited investor, being someone with $1 million, right?
$1 million net worth, or $200,000 annual income for the past 2 years, or $300,000 with their spouse, and all of that exclusive of their house.
So they may get into types of investments that are a little more sophisticated, may have additional risk than what the average investor, what would be suitable even for the average investor.
Right, and some of that is going to change soon because historically those private placements, private offerings that attract and are sold to accredited investors are now going to be advertised to regular non-accredited investors such as myself. And that's going to start next week. In fact, there's been a ban historically for the past 80 years on general solicitation of investors. Well, when the Jobs Act was passed last year, the Jobs Act directed the federal regulators, the SEC, to lift that ban and to allow general solicitation to everyone. So you're going to start seeing a lot of advertisements on all types of investments that historically would only be given to well-heeled, high net worth investors. And so it's really going to be a buyer beware type situation going forward because those offerings are not registered with the SEC, so they don't receive the same scrutiny that public offerings see. And so there's probably less information that will be available to a potential investor.
This is
a law change starting on September 23rd.
A very big one.
And just to be clear, the change that goes into effect on September 3rd affects general advertising to accredited investors. Part 3 of the Job Act, which involves general solicitation to non-accredited investors, doesn't go into effect next week.
Okay, and that one's going to come in?
The rules have not been written for that yet.
Okay, so we're going to open up...
But we shouldn't confuse crowdfunding with the private placement.
That's going to be a whole other kind of area.
Those are two whole different
biggest
things.
thing I think is that it's more important, what I'm taking from this, and I think what our viewers want to take is buyer beware more than ever. You really need to be an educated investor more than ever today. The standard things that you may be somewhat familiar with, like the stocks and bonds and mutual funds that you would have through your 401k or through your typical, your average broker-dealer, that's going to change then. So they're going to have new offerings that people are now going to have available to them that they haven't seen before, and that this is going to, more than ever, they need to be able to investigate, and that's where you can be a big help to them as well. So one of the areas, and we're going to get up contact information throughout the show. We're going to have, I want you to keep pen and paper handy, we're going to have a brochure that we're going to give out to you from the Securities Division, cutting through the confusion, and we'll get into this a little bit more. Understanding other agencies and how they work. We've got, besides the Tennessee Securities Division, we've got the Insurance Division, which is going to be, and sometimes these are going to cross. So we've got insurance products that are regulated a little differently, but then you have the crossovers with variable insurance products such as life insurance that has a securities component, as well as annuities, sometimes variable annuities, that would also have this securities component. How does the regulation work when someone's being solicited in those areas?
Well, you have to have separate registrations for each, and we do see a lot of activity by brokers and investment advisors who are registered to do all three and provide all types of products to consumers. And so, we always go back to disclosure. And as you were emphasizing, the education that the consumer can do for himself and the questions to ask to make sure he understands what services are being provided and to be clear himself on what it is he wants.
There you go. And this,
but we do have a consumer insurance services division in our department, and we have contact information for that office, and that's where they really need to call to understand the requirements for the insurance license, and then the securities license registration, of course, we have. But annuities are insurance products under federal law, And you have to have licenses for both.
So you're going to need
sell
both
both.
insurance
You're gonna
and
need-
securities when you're dealing with those products.
Yes.
We're going to get into it some more. We're going to take a break here. When we come back, we're going to cover a long list of items. Really can't emphasize enough about the pen and paper part. We're going to show you how to get the brochures, but we're going to also deal with some tips for investors, how to find the right investment advisor that fits your needs, and some questions that you're going to want to not only ask that advisor, but questions to ask yourself to help you better define for yourself what type of advisor is going to be the best one to suit your needs. So all that and more as soon as we return. Join us here on the Retirement Report.